We have some details coming in about Washington State's newest Supreme Court Justice. Governor Ferguson announcing his first appointee earlier today, Colleen Melody, the newest member of the Washington State Supreme Court. He actually put out a tweet earlier today. And by the way, she was previously the deputy chief under Ferguson. He had hired her for the Civil Rights Division of the AG's office back in 2015. That's the group that protects the rights of Washingtonians in terms of race, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, veteran status, or disability. They've been involved in a number of lawsuits over the years, both here in our state, but also federally, as far back as the first President Trump term in office. So no stranger to large political battles, and now going to be on the other side of things as a judge. And we got a chance to hear from Deborah Stevens, the Chief Justice, kicking things off at proceedings earlier today when Melody was first being introduced by Governor Ferguson.
Supreme Court, and we are gathered here this morning in the beautiful Temple of Justice in order to receive an important announcement. As some of you may know, under our state constitutional organization, when a justice leaves the court prior to the expiration of their term, the governor has the opportunity to fill that vacancy. And the governor's appointee stands for retention election, and then we hope runs for re-election to the office when that time comes. So earlier this year, Justice Mary Yu announced that she would be retiring from the Supreme Court at the end of this year. That follows her brilliant tenure on this court since the spring of 2014. Following 14 years as a Superior Court judge in King County. So really 25 years of judicial excellence. And I just want to take a moment and give everyone in this courtroom the opportunity to thank Justice Yu for her service. I also want to thank the members of the Supreme Court, my colleagues, for joining this morning. I want to note one absence and share with you that Justice Salman Jia, our newest justice, wishes he could be here today, but he is serving his civic duty as a juror in Pierce County, and he is in jury service this morning. But I'm happy to be joined, and I'll just introduce to you the members of the court, Justice G. Helen Whitener, Justice Stephen Gonzalez, Associate Chief Justice Charles Johnson, Justice Barbara Madsen, Justice Cheryl Gordon-MacLeod, and Justice Raquel Montoya-Lewis. The last thing I'll say, and I want to turn it over to the governor to make the announcement, is that this newest member of our court will be the 100th justice to serve in the history of the Washington State Supreme Court. And just this information comes to me from our resident historian, Justice Charles Johnson, who was the 80th justice to join the court. So that just gives you a sense of the arc of this historic moment this morning. And with that, I'll step out of the way and turn it over to Governor Bob Ferguson.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice Stevens, and thanks to all the members of this court. We so appreciate, on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, we thank you for your service. Service comes in many forms. Your service is especially important, and so just on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, we so appreciate all that you do for our state. Thank you very much. I also do, of course, want to take a moment to give a special thank you, as Justice Stevens just did, for Justice Yu. You know, I've had the chance to know you for quite some time, and, you know, she's been, you know, Chief Justice Stevens, you're talking about history and the 100th justice, but I think it's fair to say that Justice Yu is a historical figure in our state. There's no two ways around that. She's a trailblazer in many, many ways. She's just had a a profound impact on our state. And also, one thing I just will say, Justice Yu, is I know something that you have focused on. I've spoken to many, many attorneys, youngish attorneys, who refer to you as a mentor. And that's like, in some ways, the greatest compliment of all, right? That she's an incredibly busy person, and yet I've heard from many, many people who refer to you as their mentor. So I'm not sure how many folks in B have that role, but you seem to find the time for it. So one more round of applause, please, for Justice Yu. Thank you. So Justice Yu, of course, leaves a big legacy and very big shoes to fill on this court. And I was certainly mindful of that on my role in this process, which is to make a selection for an individual to fill those very big shoes. And after an extensive and thorough process, I'm confident that we have the right person for this very important job. And so I'm very pleased to announce that Colleen Melody will be our next Washington State Supreme Court Justice. Now, I know Colleen very well. And by the way, I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience today, which is a real joy. And I see a lot of familiar faces because, of course, Colleen serves and has served as the division chief for the Wing Luke Civil Rights Division in the Office of Attorney General. So I had the chance to work very, very closely with her for a very long period of time. So I will try in a few minutes to summarize my observations of Colleen during that time and why I'm appointing her to this position. Anyone who has had any interaction with Colleen in a legal setting would all agree that she has a brilliant legal mind. There's just no doubt about that. She is, in my view, also a creative problem solver and a fearless defender of our democracy. She grew up in Spokane, Washington, in a family of public servants. Her dad was an educator in Spokane Public Schools. Her mom worked for the Department of Health, and her sister is a bank regulator. After graduating from Ferris High School, Colleen attended the University of Washington for both her undergraduate education and law school. At the University of Washington Law School, she was a Gates Public Service Scholar. That sense of public service came throughout her life. That's always been a focus for her. The University of Washington is one of our country's finest law schools. It's difficult to get into, I know, because I did not get into it myself. I tried, and they did not take me. But she got in, and not only did she get in, she finished first in her class at the University of Washington Law School. I first met Colleen in 2014 when she applied for a new position. I was creating a new civil rights division in our office. Our office did not do civil rights work directly on behalf of the people, and I wanted to create a civil rights division. So I realized how important that first appointment was going to be to really set the trajectory for what I hope would be a civil rights division that would serve the people of our state in a significant way. And the person to lead that, obviously that's a big job and an important job. And so I met Colleen. I was in Washington, D.C., and at that time she was working for the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division as part of their honors program. And fortunately, she agreed to come back home to Washington State and build our state's brand new Civil Rights Division, literally from the ground up. Over the next decade, Colleen helped establish that division into what can only be described as a national powerhouse for standing up for the rights of all Washingtonians and, as we've seen over the years, for many Americans as well. Today in that division, there are 35 attorneys, investigators, and professional staff. That team has grown dramatically over the course of that decade, all under the leadership of Colleen. It is, by any fair measure, the best civil rights division in any office of the Attorney General anywhere in the United States. As I mentioned before, in my time as attorney, we have a large office in the Office of Attorney General, and as Attorney General, you don't get the ability to work, equally closely with every attorney. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of attorneys. But as the head of the Civil Rights Division, I had the real joy to work extremely closely with Colleen. That division worked on very significant litigation. And as you might imagine, we spent a lot of time talking about those cases, deciding how to proceed in those cases, strategizing about those cases. We spent a lot of time together. And as a result of her work, she has led on some of the most consequential cases, speaking of history again, truly in the history of our state. So for example, she helped lead our state's successful challenge of President Trump's first travel ban in 2017.
Okay, so that is just some of the words coming from Governor Ferguson, and a reminder also posted this, talking a little bit about the outgoing Washington Supreme Court Justice. But right now I want to skip ahead and hear a little more from Colleen Melody herself, some details on her speech today after the announcement.
Governor Ferguson, both for sort of the honor of being selected, but also for the opportunity to serve the state that we both love. Thank you to Chief Justice Stevens for your words of welcome, and to all the justices who are able to be here. So in preparing for maybe seeking this appointment, I asked to meet with them so that I could hear from them about their court, their work, their views, and their reflections, and every single one of them was willing to meet with me and generously share their time and kind of their wisdom, and I just think that that speaks so highly for all of you, and I'd like to thank you for that. So you are a path-breaking lawyer and jurist in many ways, but one of the things that everyone says, and the governor said it, is just how much of a role model you are for, I wrote young lawyers, he said young lawyers, and I thought, I'm not that young of a lawyer anymore. So for many lawyers, just in sort of your legal craft, but also your dedication to improving our system of justice, just personally, on a personal level. I so admire your work ethic and the tireless way that you keep your eye on sort of access to justice as the North Star that we need to improve. You are the real deal, and you walk the walk as a public servant, and I would like to thank you for your example. I'd like to also acknowledge my family and thank them. Many family and close friends are either here in the room or watching online, in particular my parents, Brian and Patty Melody, my sister Shannon, my only sibling who is here, and my husband Zach, and our two daughters Cecilia and Rosie, who are supposed to be in second grade and kindergarten this morning. But days like this don't happen every day, and so I thought it might be okay if they join me here in the room. So as the governor said, I grew up in Spokane and then moved to Seattle to attend the University of Washington. And so really I grew up in two different communities. I'm the product of two different communities on either side of the state, but that both cared for me and fed me and taught me well. I had excellent teachers, and I was encouraged by people who helped raise me to work hard and to give back. And so I truly love Washington, and I'm proud to serve it. And I also just love the law. I love its promise of justice for all, and I was trained as a civil rights lawyer in Washington, D.C. by incredibly dedicated public servants, people who are career civil rights champions. And then for the next 11 years, I've been back home in Washington running a statewide civil rights practice at the Attorney General's office, where for all that time our goal has been in every corner of the state to level the playing field, whether it be in employment or housing, in government services, in education and healthcare, and so much more. And it's such a privilege to do that work with my colleagues, where part of our role is to just prop open the door to the courthouse a little bit, to make it so that everyday Washingtonians have a better chance to walk through that door and seek justice in court. And I've been doing that work for over a decade with a team of dedicated and extremely skilled investigators, attorneys, and professional staff at the Civil Rights Division of the Attorney General's office, along with others in the office. It's a truly wonderful place to work. And as I wrote to Governor Ferguson in my application materials, for all of my career experiences, I feel most fortunate for my daily ability, my daily collaboration with my Civil Rights Division colleagues. They work tirelessly every day to protect and uphold the dignity of their neighbors, and it's work that I will miss doing alongside them. And so even though I love my current work, I applied for this position because state courts are incredibly important, and they have never been more important than they are right now. Many of you know that more than 90% of all legal cases are resolved in state court rather than federal courts. And so even though the U.S. Supreme Court and federal courts are often in the news, state courts are actually the place where most of us who are able to access justice go to seek it.
All right, so that is Colleen Melody, the new appointee to the Washington State Supreme Court. We showed you this earlier, but a reminder, Governor Ferguson just put her into position. She will take over Yu's remaining term, meaning that voters will choose the permanent replacement coming up in the general election. That will be the person who will serve the term through December 31st, 2028. So voters will eventually have a say on this, but she will fill in until that point in time.